going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You with another episode of Black Fathers Now. Now, dig this, fellas. Today's going to be a quick chat, but I have something I want to drop on you. And it came to me thinking about football, right? Because we're now back in football season. I mean, things have started up. You got the NFL, you got college, high school, youth football, whatever. But something came to me just sitting around and just kind of thinking about that. And it was taking me back to my time playing football. Now, real talk, I played youth football, played, through high school, but that was it. I didn't play in college. That was the end of my career, playing through high school. But the thing that's interesting about playing the sport of football are the lessons that you learn. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy in regards to CTEs and long-term brain injuries and all of that from the contact. And that is a concern. But in the midst of that, there are significant lessons you learn by playing football, or you can probably look at it across the board with all sports. But that lesson comes from what your coach used to always say to you back in the day. Now, guys who played football back in the 80s, 90s, and probably even the early 2000s, you've heard this mentioned at least once, but you probably heard it mentioned just about every practice or almost every game. And that thing or that question was this: are you hurt or are you injured? Are you hurt or are you injured? When you think about being hurt and when you think about being injured, those are two separate things. But coaches used to always ask, when you're laying on the ground, when you're screaming, when you're, having a grimace on your face and holding a particular part of your body, the first question out of their mouth was, are you hurt or are you injured? See, the thing is, there's a difference between the two. Being hurt means that, yes, I'm in a little bit of pain, I'm in a little bit of discomfort, but it's no major damage here. So I can continue to push forward. I can get back in the game. I would use the example of, you're holding your hand and, you come to realize that you jammed your finger, right? So jamming your finger is uncomfortable. It actually hurts. But the reality is, in a football sense, you would probably go to the sideline. The trainer or somebody would take that finger to the next finger and they would send you in with a play and you'd get back in the game. Now, after the game, it's going to hurt and you're going to ice it and all of that. But a jammed finger is just a jammed finger. You're hurt. But take that same instance, and if it's not a jam, but you see your finger twisted in a different direction at a place in which there's no joint, and you realize that your finger is broken, okay, now you're injured. And when you're injured, you actually have to come out of the game. When you're injured, you actually need more outside attention, and you also need to rest. Right? You need to heal. You need to have someone to help you to get better or to get back to what you were prior to the injury. But again, being hurt versus being injured. And so when you think about that particular lesson from football, we can pull from it and use it in life today. There's a lot of situations that are going on. We have a lot of social unrest. We got the political season coming. We got, hurtful words being said on, various platforms. We got, we have issues across the board. We got economic issues. We got COVID-19. It's a lot of things that are going on at this specific moment. But of all the things that are going on, and when you think about how you personally are being impacted by those things, I want to ask you the simple question. Are you hurt or are you injured? Because again, if you're hurt, you get yourself bandaged up and you get back in the game. That's not an excuse to sit out. But if you're injured, then you have to have the wherewithal to know that, you need more help. You need someone outside to help you to mend and to get better. And you do need to come out of the game for a little bit. But we have to be able to delineate whether or not this is a situation in which I'm hurt or a situation in which I'm injured. Because what I'm seeing nowadays in life and across the board is that there's a blurring of the lines now. There's a blurring of the lines between being hurt and being injured. And we have to be honest about it because If you really are not injured, you do have to, again, shake your stuff off and get back in the game. And that applies to life, right? Because there's a lot of things out there that are hurtful, that cause us to be hurt, that cause us to be uncomfortable, that cause us to go through discomfort, a little bit of pain. But the reality is we're hurt, we're not injured. But then on the flip side, we have to be mindful of whether or not we're actually dealing with an injury or not. Because there's a lot of situations, especially in the game of football. Again, these lessons that I'm speaking about come from my time playing football. But there were instances in which you actually were injured, but because you didn't want somebody to talk about you, or you didn't want to feel like you were letting the team down or whatever, you went in and acted like you were just hurt. But the reality is you were dealing with a legit injury. And that happened to me personally. So my senior year in high school, from Augusta, Georgia, played at Westside High School. My senior year in high school, I played running back. And every game, I got my ankles taped. So before the game, you go sit down with the trainer, they tape your ankles. And, before you put all your gear on, that was one of the first things you did. But one of the things that I always felt was when my ankles taped, I felt restricted, right? Now, throughout the game, they loosened up and everything, and so you were fine. But starting a game off, I always felt super restricted when my ankles got taped, right? So there was one game, my senior year in high school, we were playing against Josie High School. Now, TW Josie, like if you're from Augusta, you've heard the name TW Josie, but we were playing TW Josie my senior year in high school. So this was the football season of 1997. And I would watch tape and I'd seen what was going on. And I was just like, man, I'm going to get off in this game. I'm gonna get some yards. Like I'm going to put it down. Right. So having that mindset, I also had the mindset going into the game that, you know what, I'm not going to get my ankles taped today. Now, I don't know why I thought that, but the reality was that's what I did. I just decided to not get my ankles taped because I felt restricted and I wanted to be free. I wanted to be loose because I was about to get off, right? So long story short, I didn't get my ankles taped, and I didn't obviously tell anybody, because if I told the coach would have said, sit your butt down and get your ankles taped, but I didn't say anything. I just didn't get them done. So get to the game, start the game, second play of the game. I think I ran for like 10, 11 yards, whatever. And I got tackled and I heard a pop. I twisted my ankle, and long story short, I had a severe high ankle sprain, right? And so a severe high ankle sprain, you're messing with the ligaments. I mean, it was super painful, right? But for me, being a captain and senior year and all of that, I didn't want to come out of the game. I didn't want to sit on the sideline, but the reality was I legitimately was injured. That was something in which I should have sat out the rest of the game, and I probably should have sat out the week after that, but it was my senior year. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to push through it. That was an example of me being injured, but yet I was telling myself I was just hurt. So on the sideline, I remember it vividly. I didn't have my ankles taped. So the trainer, or as a team doctor, literally after they looked at it, they taped my ankle up. They cut out this little thing and made a lift in the bottom of my shoe. They put an air cast on my ankle, and then they taped the outside of my cleat. So I had all of that. I had like a big old club foot, but I went back in the game and played, even though I was legit injured. I was injured, but yet I allowed myself to tell myself that I was hurt, not injured. Nobody forced me to go back. That was all on me. But the problem was, for years after that, every time that I played basketball, I would twist my ankle. So I literally had to wear, ankle braces every time I went to a gym to play basketball. Every time I was running around a whole lot, I was going to end up twisting my ankle. So me not taking care of myself when I was injured and sitting out the rest of that game and probably sitting out the week after, that led to damage for years to come. Now I've gotten over that and healed and rehabbed it and all that stuff. So I'm fine now. But the reality is I was actually injured, but I played like I was hurt. And that did nothing but make things worse for me later on down the road. So it goes both ways. There are a lot of situations in which we blur the lines and we act like we're injured when we're really just hurt. Those situations, fellas, We got to mount up and get back in the game. There's no excuse there. But then there are other situations in which we are legitimately injured, in which we do need to come out of the game and we need to get healed and we need to do what we need to do, because if we don't do it then what ends up happening is we have ramifications from that injury for years to come. So the question that I'm posing to the brothers listening, to the ladies listening, to everybody who's listening to this particular episode is simple. Are you hurt or are you injured? Are you hurt or are you injured? If you're hurt, I know it's uncomfortable. I know there's some discomfort that you're dealing with, but you got to get back in the game. If you're injured, I'm asking you to sit down, because you need to go get the proper help needed, because if not, you're going to have ramifications from that thing going forward. Now, again, we're using football as the analogy or the muse here, but the reality is we're talking about life. And we can't blur the lines between being hurt and being injured, because they are two separate things. And we need to be honest about it. We need to be in tune with ourselves to know whether or not we're sliding in one direction when we need to be on the other side of the coin. We need to be honest about that. But then we also need to surround ourselves with individuals who we trust, who can give us insight that we might not be able to see ourselves. All right. So again, fellas, are you hurt or are you injured? And once you determine which one is legit, act accordingly. All right. Well, hey, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Black Fathers Now. Make sure to subscribe on every podcast listening app platform that you enjoy. And please leave some ratings and leave us some reviews and share this episode out, man. We're literally looking to impact the lives of brothers around the world. And we can only do that with your help. So continue to share, continue to leave ratings, continue to leave reviews, continue to talk about Black Fathers Now. Subscribe, share the YouTube channel if you're watching this thing on video. Just continue to support, man, because we're literally looking to, kick Black fatherhood up a notch, make excellence the new average in Black fatherhood. It's not about the absenteeism and all of that. This is about brothers going from good to great. A lot of us are already good, but how do we make that great? And that's what these little snippets and these interviews, that's what this thing is all about. So, again, subscribe, be on the lookout for new stuff we got coming out. And until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.